topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Are you ready to take a journey? Let's connect with the healers of the world. It's that time. It's time for the Language of Healing on W4WN Radio and Talk 4 TV. Now here's your host, Dr. Nicole Fortin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Language of Healing. And today we are exploring what it really means to stop giving your power away, especially for women in leadership and life. We'll explore some ways that we unintentionally give our power away, what that looks like, how we might be able to balance some of those dynamics in our life. And our guest today, wonderful Glynis Devine, she knows all about how to help you turn that, really stop giving that power away and turn that into a true impact, such an inspiration. She's a speaker and wonderful mentor. So let's bring her on, welcome her with a big warm welcome. Hello.
Hi, Nicole. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, you're so wonderful. Yeah, I'm happy to have you here too. Because we've had, many conversations over, getting to know each other. And I find what you do is just so cool. And I wonder, I've never asked you this, like, what inspired you to get on stage and speak about?
Oh, good question. Lots of tears.
Yeah.
It's never like a glossy road to wherever we end up that we're happy. I want to take a sidebar and say I am thrilled to be here, and I loved your intro. I just have to say the reason I'm so excited to be here is because I think the world of you and the world of what you do. You bring so many gifts to the table that you share very generously, and I'm just thrilled to get to hang out with you for a little bit.
Oh.
So how did this all happen? So the long and short story is I had a really successful career. I'd been 29 years in Mary Kay Cosmetics. I was a senior sales director. I was responsible for 3 directors and their teams, plus my own team. And so about 200 women, mostly women, in my organization. And it was on the heels of us having earned our 7th pink car that I woke up one morning. Didn't exactly happen on one morning. Miserable. And it wasn't, it's interesting because as women, and I can only speak to women, maybe men feel the same way, but I felt really miserable. And then I felt guilty because I felt miserable because I thought I'd been really richly blessed by my career in Mary Kay. No question. I loved the people I worked with. I just had this gap, this emptiness inside that just made me feel like something was missing, that there was something more I was supposed to do, that there was I always equate it to something that Stephen Covey says. Neither of us wrote it, but I sure wish I had. And that is, when you get to the top of your ladder of success, make sure it's leaning on the right building. I felt like I was moving towards the top of my ladder of success, but it wasn't on the right building. And so that's when I realized that all of the goals that I set were all around teaching and helping and empowering women. And so I decided to go into speaking. How I learned my niche was very different. I was in Barrie. I was doing a set, Barrie, Ontario. I was finished my program for the day, and everybody'd left. I'd kicked off my shoes, and I was just sitting, paperwork kind of thing, waiting for the traffic to die down. And I could hear only, I couldn't see because I was inside my own room. I could hear all these people gathering across the convention center for another room. And just from the timbre of the voices, I could tell there were a lot of men. I didn't hear very many women's voices in there. And when their meeting started, it sounded like it was some kind of transportation. And so I hear the rumble of men's voices. And then out of there, I hear this woman speak up and say, I'd like to address the problem that we have with, and she got cut off. And so I'm listening, kind of curious. And then I hear her start again. She said, as I was saying, and I thought, oh, that's not good. That's so not good. Because I can picture every woman who says that, the head is going and the finger is ready, right? And so as I was saying, what we really need to do, and the volume has gone up and the intensity of her conversation had gone up, and she got interrupted again. Thought, oh, this isn't going to bode well. And the third time she came back, shrill, screaming like a lunatic. And I thought, you've lost all your power. And that's when I realized two things over the next couple of weeks. We have an expression in French called mijote. Mijote is when you stew on something, you think about something. And so I mijoted for the next couple of weeks and realized two really important things that are the foundation of my She Suite Leaders message. And that is, number one, as women, we tend to let others define our boundaries, and we shouldn't. And number two, we come out of the gate, and instead of going from passive to assertive, we go right past assertive and we go to aggressive sometimes. And that's no better than being passive, right? So She Suite Leaders is all about empowering women with a voice, knowing their worth, being sold on themselves first before they sell others on their value, their opinions, their processes, their whatever the case may be. And not waiting for other people to define who we are or where we're allowed to be or when it's okay to speak up. That comes from inside us. And ideally, that would come before you hit the age where you say, screw this, it's my time to speak up, and come out, guns blazing.
I think that is like an interesting thing when we try to step into our power. And then, you go from this passive role, maybe like, the peacekeeper qualities, not wanting to rock the boat, but still, then you get frustrated. I want to be seen. I want to be heard, like respected, whether I get it or not. Like, but it's funny how we swing from that passive to that aggressive. And there's that thinking. That's maybe one way that we unintentionally give our power away, like your example.
Absolutely.
Is like swinging to that when the assertive stance is where the power is, because that's based on fact and respect, and it's just truth.
I always like the definition of assertive is, this is my own definition, it's not necessarily the right one, but it's the one I live with. Assertiveness is respect at no one's expense. So I don't give you respect without taking it myself, and I don't take it without giving you yours, right? And so if we can own our value, own our boundaries, then I don't have to get aggressive about it. I respect you, and I respect self in the process. And speaking of healing, that's going to be far healthier, right? When we're churning with a knot inside us because we're thinking things. There was a national sales director that I learned from in Mary Kay, and she used to always say, quit thinking things that people think that they don't think at all. And we are masters at that.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody
comes let's speak about that one.
Yeah, sure. Because somebody comes up, we have our shortcomings. We wear our insides on our outsides, but we compare others' outsides and we don't see their insides. So they come up to us and we think, oh, they see all my flaws, right? And they say something and we're sure it's about us. And it rarely is about us.
Yeah.
And so we respond. It's kind of like a tennis match, right? You throw something at me that I think is weighted or has judgment on it, and then I'm going to hit it back with judgment and weight. And that doesn't go anyplace great.
No, just reactionary cycle right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that assertiveness and like healthy responses are a key to stopping that cycle.
Oh, and all of the ruminating we do, right? Did I
Oh,
say
yeah.
the right thing? Did I do the
Yeah,
right
yeah.
thing? I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I wonder what they meant by that. Look, nowadays I ask, I'm notorious for saying, please tell me what these eyebrows mean. Right? And somebody else say to me, I'm thinking, fair enough. Oh, I'm not sure I agree with that. Oh, how so? Like I spent so many years worrying and really, I earned these 2 creases for a reason.
The 11s.
Yes. Worrying about what
Yeah.
people think, or worrying that I'd done something right, or not done it wrong, or not done it the way they expected it to be done, or, any of that stuff. Life is way too short not to embrace the joy that we can and let go of all the
Yeah.
head stuff, right?
What do you think is maybe a cause of that? Like, where does that come from that we can ruminate on those questions? And because I don't think I mean, I've experienced that. I'm sure many people have. And I don't know if it's more prone to women. Maybe there's a bit of a
I'd love some men to weigh in on this.
yeah, that would
I
be
have a couple of male colleagues
is
who
it
say,
estrogen?
yeah, no, my male colleagues say imposter syndrome is real for men too.
Yeah.
It's a really good question. I think that sometimes it's our defense mechanism. I'd rather think the worst and be wrong than think the best and be wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so we tend to project that onto other people and then assume they're thinking that. Again, the one thing that I've tried to drill into my children certainly is most of us are so self-absorbed, we rarely think too much of another human being. And so the same is true of people looking at us, right? They're not making a whole bunch of judgment. And if they are making judgments, do you really want to be around them anyhow, right? In most cases, they're not. In most cases, their comments are subjective, or objective rather, not subjective. They're not placing any judgment or any thoughts or any opinions. So own the authentic you, and if they don't agree, they don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes it just takes, somebody saying something judgmental or I hate the word constructive criticism, because I think criticism is destructive. But somebody makes a comment and it fits perhaps that isolated incident, but we tend to use that as a paintbrush for everything we've done in the past. Because again, it gives us a coping mechanism. If I believe that, then I've got, skills to combat it. Again, that's not where we want to be. We need to get sold on us. We need to own the value that we bring to the table. I just finished packing for a session I'm doing in Europe next week. And one of the things I'm bringing with me is one of the favorite tools I have. And it's a beautiful heart card. And on the back, it says 7 reasons why I rock. And I encourage every participant to fill it out. I remember my son walked in my office one time and mine was up on my corkboard, and he said, "You give good hugs." He goes, "Yeah, you give the second best hugs on the planet." And I said, "Second best? Who is she?" And he said, "Graham." I went, "Yeah, okay." So it can be as simple as I give great hugs, or I cook a beautiful meal, or I am reliable, I'm organized, I'm flexible, I'm open to people's differences. It can be anything. We need to be sold on what makes us rock, and that in turn becomes our value proposition in business and in life.
Yeah, because the greatest, sometimes the greatest strength comes from within, if we're um and if we're talking about like healing and being balanced, because there's so much of us, we are not just that one isolated incident, you
Yeah.
know. I think with someone with a bit of awareness or a desire to be a better human,
Yeah.
would take that as like, okay, now how can I improve? What can I, so I think that can create some spins. But to be balanced, we have, like I'm just thinking of the chakra system right now. And that the
Absolutely.
solar plexus, like the will, that's our power for ourself. Like there's power in our tribe and our community, and there's power in relationships, and there's power in ourself. And then that, kind of elevates us into having.
Well, and just being around, I mean, I love being in your space because you are very clear. It's one of the things that attracted to me to you as a human. You are very good in your skin. You know what your gifts are. You're confident in what value you deliver, and therefore you don't I didn't ever sense um any need to prove, any need to, you are you. I love that about you. You are very authentic and you're very calming to be around, right? So we need to do this for us, for our own health. We also need to do it for one another, because if we're good in our skin and we're not worried about the inner dialogue going on, I can be present for you and fill your cup, right?
Mhm.
And, I heard an alarming statistic. 20% of all the heart attacks that happen on a Monday morning. Scary. So we're
Mm.
safe for another week.
Yeah,
Unless you're
past the
listening to the
threshold.
recording on a Monday morning, just ignore what I just said. And it's not, a Tuesday night Zumba class that you a little bit too hard, or a Thursday night hockey game where you played like you were 17, but your heart isn't. It's that angst we get on a Sunday about the people in our life that we find it difficult to navigate, to
Like
maneuver.
be
And
around. Yeah.
yeah,
Because a lot of our patterns are the way that, I mean, as a core, I don't know if it's a need or a fear, but as humans, we all want to be liked,
yeah,
accepted. So I think that we do develop these coping mechanisms or these ways
absolutely.
of navigating a situation in order to not jeopardize that. Because if we're, you know, judged and outcast, well, then
Oh,
we're
nobody wants to
worthless.
feel like that.
No, that's what
Absolutely.
it's like, all the defensive mechanisms to try to protect us.
Yeah,
So,
stay away from that, right? It goes right back
yeah,
to our fundamental need to feel connected to others and bring value into the world, right?
yeah,
When experts peel back the layers of what causes stress so hard that your heart goes, bounce baby, I'm out of here, it's a lack of feeling valued and appreciated. And
yeah,
that's something that if we're good in our own skin, we can catch others doing something right and build them up, giving them
yeah.
value and appreciation.
I love that. I love when like that juices me up when I can feel good and strong and help someone else feel like more whole and healthy. And then it's like chain. It's like paying for someone's Timmy's order when you're ahead. And
Paying it
like
forward,
I love
absolutely.
that, doing that too, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay for someone's gas today. Like,
Yeah.
um,
My mom, I
because
remember I used to go as a teenager, I'd go up to my mom and I'd say, I'm bored, right? And she'd say, go help someone. And I find
uh,
the stupidest response when I was that age, right? And I realized it's true. You cannot help someone without feeling good about yourself, like healthy help, right?
Yes, yeah.
Um, when it's building another person up, it builds us up. What a much healthier planet it would be if we all were committed to that on a regular
Mm.
basis. And that takes getting out of our own head. That takes not listening to the voice that says, "Who do you think you are? They're going to see right through all that stuff," right?
Yeah. Well, that is an interesting comment because there are people that see that behavior as like suspicious, you know? And it's like, oh, isn't that interesting? Because maybe that we're all like fend for yourself or that individual idea, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you
Could
gotta,
could could be a coping mechanism too, that people who have done that in the past have done it with
yeah,
something that they want out of it, right?
some
Um,
malintent. Yeah.
we're usually a product of everything that's happened to us, and so when someone is suspicious, I just love them more.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's
Just
the
give him
best you
more.
can do for. I mean, there's no sense getting upset about it, or
Yeah.
getting down in the dirt with them. That's no good.
Yeah.
And you just hope that, if they don't take whatever it is I'm offering, that's okay. Hopefully somebody else will be in their path that does. The challenge is that sometimes what you put out, you get back, right? It's that law of reciprocation.
Yeah.
And so some people take that as, oh, they're suspicious of me, because that thinking things that people think, right? They're suspicious of me because I don't come across as trusting. Oh, what do I have to do wrong? That's getting in your own head. Just
Yeah. What
drop.
about, um, because I've noticed maybe this is reframing it all, but if you're living like that, just like in that reciprocity mindset, and then maybe there's a time where you realize you're putting too much into it, and maybe that's where
Maybe.
some
Yeah.
dynamic is like, and also a way that we unknowingly give our power away when we're giving too much, or it's not reciprocated. So when do you decide and navigate that?
When it feels icky. So
Yeah, that's like the body sense, the visceral responses of things
it's
is a huge
flow, right?
indicator. Yeah,
Absolutely. To
yeah,
your
and we
point,
we can sometimes
when we
override
have
that with our
flow,
head.
yeah, oh,
Yeah,
they
go ahead.
need it. They don't, they're not able to. One of the
Yeah, we make excuses for them, right? Or
Yeah.
or we just like yeah, it's like
I love how you always say, um, my body knows what it needs or wants, right?
yeah,
And I just need to listen to it. The same is true as of us as human beings, right? Um, we go where the flow is. If it feels icky, there's a reason why. That's not respect. You're not either giving respect or getting respect. When, as a speaker, I was almost always on a stage in another city until COVID hit. And that
mm,
changed everything. And many of my colleagues and I had to pivot. And so one of the ways I pivoted was I went and got certified, through ICF training, International Coaches Federation training, and got my level 1 and level 2 coaching. And one of the hardest elements for me to swallow was the fact that people are whole, resourceful, and complete without me.
yeah.
And it hit me more as a mom than it did as a leader and a speaker, because I was the solution mom. I had all
Oh, you pressed your mute button. Excited, jazz hands.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Oh, and you did it again. Uh,
And so as a result, I had to I had to realize that, and I think the world of my children. I do, my adult children. I think they are whole, resourceful. I just had to get my ego out of the way, that I wasn't the one coming up with all the solutions. And as a leader, that's helped me, because Um, I think particularly as women, so this is gender centric. We like to help, we like to give, we like to whatever. Um, and so we can sometimes jump into somebody who is fully capable and try to fix their problems or their life because it makes us feel good.
Mm.
So that's a little bit of ick as well, right? That's
Yeah,
not
yeah, the
balance,
enabling kind of thing.
right? Because it makes me feel good. So I think we just have to do a what I call a checkup from the neck up, right? Every now and again, just say, am I feeling flow? Am I feeling that I'm getting as much as giving? Am I giving
Mhm.
respect as much as getting respect? Am I helping as much as being helped? Because, sometimes we can get to um, a place also where we've been so good at helping others that we think we don't need help, and that's lack of humility as well, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, life sends us a good dose of humble pie every now and
Uh,
again.
Absolutely.
So I actually think imposter syndrome voice keeps us honest. It provided we don't
Yeah.
listen to it solely, right? We need to recognize that first of all, imposter voice only pops in when you're at a new level because it doesn't have to keep you down unless you're moving to the next level, right? And second of all, let it be your coach corner of your devil's advocate. Are you getting too big for your britches? Do you need to accept some help rather than give it? Are you guilty of thinking you know all the answers, right? Um,
Mhm.
do you have
Yeah.
flow, right?
Yeah.
Is it healthy?
Yes, those are some definitely that imposter syndrome is relatable to so many of us, but that's also part of the learning stages of life. There's so many
Yeah.
times I've like take the position of fake it till you make it, you know? And if you don't, if you get caught, well, I don't know, you just kind of learn from them.
Learn on the way and be humble that you screwed up. Yeah,
Yeah, and oh,
absolutely.
that's a good point too. You mentioned, the imposter syndrome sometimes keeps us like humbles us a little bit too. And I emotions like guilt or some of those ickier feelings can help us form those boundaries. Anger is a really good example as well because
Anger,
when you
shame, sadness,
yeah,
all
when
of
you
it, right?
feel that, that means that there has been a boundary breached. And then when we're talking about this balance of like giving, receiving, um, mutual respect, there's no tangible line drawn for us. It's like an
Yeah.
intangible thing that's hard to see. And we could have all sorts of belief systems blocking, clouding that vision. I think that's what's really important about having a coach, like a strong coach
I
and
would say
mentor.
a coach and a mentor and some kind of cohort, right? A circle of
Yeah,
people
a mirror
that
of
fill you up, whether and it can be a podcast, it can be an author. I have a huge bookcase full of books. And depending on what I'm feeling, I might pull out a different book, right? I just need a page out of something, or I click in my Audible, or I tune into my Insight, or I have kind of like a board of directors, and they each have a
mm,
different specialty. And so when I'm feeling icky about my image, I'll phone one. And when I'm feeling icky about my
mhm,
professionalism, I'll phone another. And when I'm feeling icky about my parenting, I might phone another. And so having other women who you admire and who you look up to, in the same way that we do that with healing, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely. There are so many wonderful modalities out there,
Modalities. You
and
got it. I've seen you use multiple ones, right?
oh yeah,
If one thing doesn't work, hey, there's another approach to this. The same is true in our headspace.
yeah, it's all the tools. But I think that people are such a great, tool or resource around us. If we can
Absolutely.
be, on a path to getting better, evolution and getting better, and all the mirrors that they provide for us. Like we're not in this icky, sticky situation without others. It's the perfect reflection of what is inside of us too.
Yeah. Well, and the
And
other thing I want to throw out there is that whole mind body connection, right? The reality is, if I'm tired, hungry, sick, hormonal, or rushed, you're not getting the best out of me. And so,
yeah,
doing a checkup, physical as well as emotional, right? Am I a bit under the weather? Am I feeling rushed? Oh, did I hydrate all day today? Oh, when's the last time I ate something that was, protein based and plant based? And all of the things that make us healthy physically, as well. Have I gotten up and moved today? Right. That all contributes, as well as what have I been listening to on TV? My kids
oh yeah,
tease the heck out of me. I won't watch horrors. I won't watch, and I protect my ability to be a positive light with a vengeance. So I'm
yeah.
really careful about what
You're
I
a
suggest.
fierce protector of the light.
Yes, do not distinguish the
Yeah.
light.
Whoa, there's power in that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm careful about what I think, what I watch, what I listen to, who I listen to,
Yeah.
what it says. And the other thing is, on days you don't, be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up that you fell victim to an old pattern or whatever. Just do a pattern interrupt and move on. Be
Yeah.
gentle.
What
Give
are
the
you?
girl a hug.
Yeah. It's good self-talk there. What are some good ways what are some of your favorite ways to interrupt that pattern?
Ooh. So I learned a mudra
Mhm.
that you just by prep. I've got green marker on me. My
Nice.
apologies. Really nice compliment. When you press your fingers together to the point where you can feel your pulse, it's a grounding experience, and it's just saying, I'm mindful, I'm here. There's a lot of good things. I do that when I do gratitude first thing in the morning and first thing at night. And the nights I fall asleep before I do, or the mornings I jump out of bed because I'm running late, that I don't do that. They don't go as smooth. Is it the be all and the end all? No, but it's layers, right? So a pattern interrupt is just putting my fingers together sometimes to say, ooh, am I in flow? Flow is one of my favorite words.
Yeah. Where there is
Whether
flow, there
that's,
is no pain. That is like
you
one
taught
of
me
my
that.
mottos. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so, whether that's physical, whether that's emotional, whether that's mental, whether that's allowing other peripheral information to disrupt my flow, understanding what it is, and understanding that sometimes, in the same way that rocks in a stream become smooth over time, sometimes obstacles in our path, we can't control everything. What we can control is our reaction to it, right? So
Yeah. And that's
knowing
like a
that,
muscle.
yeah,
Train. One thing,
yeah,
well, I've experienced, well, I love, yeah, traveling and learning as many modalities as I can, because my main goal or mission in life is to, you know, recreate that original source for somebody. Like, this is, you are zero, like in a way of like zero being everything.
right,
And then we
whole,
have all these experiences and things that happen, and it's like about reminding the body, oh, that it's like back to this original state in
well, it's like
flow.
that.
And
It's like that sweet spot when you're working out and you think, I could bike forever, or I could
yeah,
dance forever, or I could, yeah, it's this
oh,
pure space. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so there's the physical. We take care of the physical more often. We know that, okay, I need to exercise or go for a walk, like that kind of thing. But there's, the mental, emotional, spiritual layers of us too that we don't put as much value. Well, not that we have value, but maybe it's just the education piece of like that also needs to be cleansed and purged and exercise
absolutely.
to really be fully resilient and whole in all parts of our being. So things like meditation, and I did that 10-day Vipassana
Oh,
meditation,
and
which is 10 days of silence. And
silence.
there,
So were you
yeah,
allowed to bring a book?
no, you cannot read, you
I
cannot
didn't
write,
know that. Yeah. So
you're not supposed to like make eye contact with anybody unless you have a real problem. You can speak with one of the
facilitators.
advisors.
Yeah.
But the
How
whole
did
point
it
is to,
feel?
oh, I honestly, I cried for the first 5 days, being like, this was the biggest mistake of my life. But there's been
Oh
many, but I laugh about that. I had the word, like, it was also in an area of the world that was very disrespectful to point
no.
your feet towards the front of the room.
Yeah.
You couldn't stretch, you couldn't take on anything other than sitting. And that the idea is like those are the real teachings of Buddha. It was not Buddhism. Buddha sat under that tree until he reached enlightenment. He encountered every source of suffering and was able to maintain that, like unity or whatever, right? So it teaches you to, don't sweat the small stuff is kind of the thing, but also, where was I kind of going with that? But
So I've had it on
the
my
idea is,
wish list. I'm not
oh
sure that's
yeah,
a wish as much.
I mean, so no, I would do it again 100%. And
Yeah.
that one of their main teachings or lessons that I took away from that experience was that was probably like a deep clean of
Oh, I bet.
my mind. I noticed after that
Processing
how much
system.
energy or how much power that it took to like speak to people, and then you become really, you have good boundary of your energy and someone else's. It's more clear, but they related the full 10 days. Like you can't leave before those 10 days are up because it's like going through a surgery. If you leave
Halfway
at day
through.
5, you've got
Yeah.
this open wound and it's not healed and stitched up. Anyway, I think, that's also another way. There's the physical exercise, but, there's some things that can
I think
also
I
be
think
value.
often what I mean, at one time in my life, I would never even have considered that. It now
Yeah.
definitely is
Yeah.
on my wish list.
Yeah.
And walking the
Well,
Camino is on my list.
oh, yes.
And I had a friend ask me just last night, what's the draw card? And I said, the permission to just walk in silence and just listen. Like that's my only job today, is to just walk. How glorious is that? And the peace and quiet. And I'm not sure I was comfy with that way back when, because I wasn't ready to hear what I had to say to myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Like we can, avoid even sitting there in silence with yourself. Oh, and you have to sit. Like I had the hardest time sitting still.
Oh,
I
I
honestly
bet.
remember this. It was hour 84 of sitting that I was able to sit without moving for 1 hour. And that was
Wow.
probably, I know it's grueling, but so is life,
Well,
So
life
like,
is. You're absolutely right. And it has a toll, whether it's positive
yeah,
or negative, right?
yeah. I know. And
Interesting.
anyway, I think that things come into our lives at different stages. There are things that I've done, that years before I was like, oh, I would never do that, or I could never do that. And then you reach a point where, okay, now I have like more capacity for that, or that's the next chapter. That's like
Or
wonderful
compassion,
gift about,
or, yeah,
about just moving through life.
life. Yeah.
So even if it does feel like we are disempowered or um, our battery is low, burnout from the,
Grind.
patterns, like,
Yeah.
the grind. Yeah.
Well, I find,
It's a
the
good
fact that,
boundary lesson recheck.
yeah, the fact that human beings are living longer doesn't mean they're living healthier necessarily,
Right.
right? And so now we are very much the squeeze generation, where we have aging parents and, children that are, so for instance, my eldest daughter, I have 3 kids. My eldest daughter is 40 and has twins 4 years old. So that's compression, right? I'm grandmothering in my early 60s as opposed to my early 50s or late 40s, like a lot of grandmothers when I was a young person, right? And so there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more that women take on. You know, I did some research with one of my clients, and I interviewed a couple of the people who were participating in our program, and two of them said, you know, I said, what do you wish your male counterparts understood about being a woman in business that you're not sure they do? And they said that we've logged 4 hours before we ever log on to work, because they've been up getting kids ready and meals ready and households ready and taking care of so much. And the argument, of course, is there are many more men doing that as well right now. Humans are stretched a whole lot more. But again, if women are the ones taking that on, we have to put on our big girl pantyhose and say that's our choice. Otherwise, that's conversation about, okay, there's 2 or 3 of us in the household, who's going to take what role on, right? And not say, well, they assume because I'm a woman. No, you chose that. Nobody assumed that. Stop thinking
and that's
things
like
that people
power.
think that they don't think at all. And if they do think that, okay, let's talk about that, because that's not going to work. Right?
Yeah. Okay, so Glynis, we have to wrap up soon. Unfortunately, it just flies by.
I
How
love
can
spending
people?
time with you.
Yeah, ditto. How can people reach out to you? How can we find out more? Maybe book you for our next conference.
Oh, I'd love that. I have a Leadership Catalyst program that includes empowerment and assertive communication, ideally, and a program called She-Suite Leaders, which is all about how women at the top are changing the game. So it includes leveraging imposter syndrome. I don't think we ever annihilate it. Communicating assertively and feeling empowered, and controlling the narrative around life. And so my website is shesuiteleaders.com or glynisedevine.com. Both will take you there. I hang out most online on LinkedIn. And I welcome having a conversation. I put my telephone number in the chat as well, because I do take texts at all times of the day. And that's the greatest compliment I can possibly be paid, is bring me into your workplace and let's have a chat about how to uncover your value proposition and control the narrative around what value you bring to the table, so that you can shine and have flow. That's my goal.
Oh, wonderful. You're such a light. We need, I'm so happy that you're here in this space with me and here in the world, and influencing and so many women, and, those wonderful men as well.
The feeling is entirely mutual. I adore you. I adore your authentic spirit and all the gifts you bring to men and women to make them healthier humans.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate that. Appreciate getting.
I always appreciate hearing that support. So, any final thoughts, stories, words?
Yeah, do a checkup from the neck up. Do inventory on what gifts you bring to the table, and don't censor them. Don't think because they're easy for you, they're easy for everybody. That can be your superpower, or just one of your gifts. And what do you love doing so much that it fills your cup? Do a lot of that, and don't wait for someone to give you permission to take that lead. Everybody who loves you will benefit that much more when you're a happier, healthy human being.
Yeah. And the reminder that sometimes the breakdown leads to the breakthrough.
Love that.
So
absolutely.
Don't shy away from it. Reach out to those, that network, those cohort of people.
Absolutely.
Yes. Was there a story you were sharing about the hurt people?
Yes, hurting people hurt. One of these days, this is going to be my book. So it happened in my kitchen. My youngest daughter, Sierra, who's now going to be 22, was in Sec 2, I believe. So grade 9 and grade 8. And she was born the Disney princess, and so she sings from sun up to sundown Disney show tunes. It sounds really lovely till about the second hour of them. And so this particular night, we're setting up for supper. I'm cooking, my son's sitting at the kitchen table, and she's supposed to be setting the table, and she's frozen at the drawer, utensil drawer. And it's quiet, which is uncharacteristic in our house. And I thought, what's up? And all of a sudden I noticed her shoulders shaking. And I said, what's going on? Because rarely does she cry. And I said, what's wrong? And she started to sob. And she said, all my friends think I'm a joke and everybody hates me. And I said, what? What are you talking about? That's not true. And she said, yes, it is. And I said, okay, whoa, put everything down. What happened? She said, we were in gym and the gym teacher said to me, we're going to do Cosm hockey next. And she said, oh, yay, I love Cosm hockey, which is very much how Sierra would deliver that. And the friend behind her leaned over and said, oh, shut up, Sierra. You're not funny. All your friends think you're a joke. And I asked who it was. And she told me, and I was gobsmacked because this is a kid who had gone to school with Sierra from kindergarten. And they'd been in all of the same classes all the way up. Rarely were they in different classes. And what was really interesting about this was that particular girl had gone through some physical and emotional challenges the previous year that had led to physical changes in her body. And so it was noticeable. And I thought, wow, I would have thought that that girl would have had more compassion because, people can be miserable, right? And especially girls 13, 14, somebody's sure to have said, how come you're losing so much weight? How come you're this, right? And I thought, why would she be so mean? So I said, what are you going to do? So my son pipes up, he goes, I'll tell you what you do. I said, you be quiet. We don't need help from you. So she said, I don't know. And I said, fair enough. So we ate supper. About an hour after supper, she came down and handed me her phone. And I said, what's this? She said, my response. And I looked at it. I have a screenshot of it to keep forever. And it said, dear, and the girl's name, what you said to me in gym class today hurt a lot. What I know is that hurting people hurt. So I hope whatever hurts you goes away soon. Your friend, Sierra.
Oh.
And I started to cry and I said,
I know.
wow. And she said, well, Mom, it's what you teach us. I said, yeah, but it's not what I always do, right? When someone hurts us, we want to hurt back because we feel vindicated, right? And what she chose to do in that moment in her youth and her blessed naivety was take the high road. And it's funny because when I tell that story, people say, how did she respond? And I said, oh no, we got a WTF text back. But that's because the healing happened on her end, not on the other girls.
Right.
End, right?
Yeah, that's a very important lesson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So don't be quick to judge other people. Don't show compassion. Demand compassion and show compassion in equal measures.
Yeah. I think that assertiveness also has that element of like respect, giving respect and knowing that you deserve respect, whether you get it or not, and oh, wow, what a powerful conversation. What a high note to leave that.
Thank you. My heart is full. My heart is very full. Thank you for all you do and for the messages you bring to the audience that you have. That's uplifting and it helps us get through another day. So thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. My pleasure. So happy to have you had you here, and
look forward to seeing you in person again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I missed you
on the east side. Yeah, we could do this whole thing in French next time.
Excellent. Okay. Listeners, please reach out. I would love to.
Yes. Yeah.
And
any questions or interest? Yes, we'd love to hear it. Comments below. If this resonated with you, just give us a like, a little share, and we look forward to seeing you next time on The Language of Healing. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, what a show today. And the journey does not stop here. Come travel the world with Nicole every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time as together we become more fluent in the language of healing on W4WN Radio and Talk4 TV. See you next week.